Hey everybody, Dual666 here. Welcome back to the channel. Got an all 80s slasher edition here. Couldn't quite get through all the films I wanted to show you guys, so I had to cut a few out. It's been a very, very busy month. As you can see, I'm very, very late again, but I put up a lot of live music footage in this last month. Namely, I went and saw King Diamond last night in Inglewood, and that was amazing. The whole set is the last video that I just uploaded right before this one goes up tonight, so go check that out if you guys love classic heavy metal. Speaking of the soundtrack, today I've got some Burning Palace playing, some guys from the North Bay, really sick, like progressive post-death metal sort of like stuff like that. I really like them. Got a great stack here for you guys. You know how we like to get started around here, so cheers. Keeping it real simple today, folks. Just a ice cold Michelob Ultra straight from my dad's fridge. Thank you, Dad. I'm sure you're watching. Love you. All right, cheers again, everyone. All right, yeah, that'll do. All right, let's get right into it, guys. First one we have here. I'm gonna cut this down. First one we have here, we have House on the Edge of the Park. Been after this movie for a very long time. This is the Severin Blu-ray. It might be a Blu-ray. No, this is actually a... No, it's black because it's Severin. So yeah, it's just a Blu-ray combo. Great, great film. Yeah, if I could show you the original artwork. That was always the one that I really liked. Not a traditional cut and dry slasher. More of an exploitation film by far. But still, holding true to a lot of those tropes. Very, very sleazy, brutal film, and I love it. I really had wanted to see this for a long time, and it did not disappoint. I've rewatched this like quite a few times, like since I got it. So, yeah. Thanks to Severin for doing the Lord's work, cleaning it up. It looks great. Lots of extras on here, so check that out if you're a fan of the sleeves. All right. Next up, 1981. I've talked about this before extensively. This is the Scream Factory Blu-ray, just upgraded really, really cheap recently. This is The Burning, 1981. Pure classic camp, summer camp slasher stuff. Pinnacle of the 80s, in my opinion. I absolutely love that setting for a slasher movie. This is one of the very best, in my opinion, as well. It's very widely known at this point. But, yeah, I just had to upgrade it, see what all the extras were about, finally. And, yeah, check out the commentaries and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm going to be digging into this even more. It looks fantastic. Now, I've watched it a few times already. Yeah, check that out if you wanted to upgrade. I think it's really, really worth it. As you guys know, I do everything pretty much secondhand, so unless I go to a con. Anyways, next up we also have one from 1981. This is TerrorVision release on Blu-ray. We have Srigala. I forget what this guy's name is. Yeah, Siswaro Gautama Putra. This dude was doing all sorts of like Shaw Brothers sort of stuff. Maybe not quite as ridiculous and obscene as Shaw Brothers, but he was combining that sort of stuff with just American and Canadian slashers of the period, and that's kind of what we get here. We got some like unconventional zombie action. We've got some supernatural stuff going on. We've got some slasher vibes. It's all over the place, but it's basically a Friday the 13th ripoff with just a bunch of extra stuff thrown in. I really, really enjoyed it. It's not in English. There's no dub track. It does come with subtitles, obviously. So, tread lightly if you're not into subtitles. I don't know of a cut of this that has a voiceover, and I doubt that will ever happen. I don't think it ever should, honestly. Dubs are fun when they are already in existence, but they're kind of a thing of the past, in my opinion, at this point. So yeah, check out Srigala. Still a really, really solid film. Got another classic here that we're just upgrading, collector's edition from Scream Factory as well. Finally, this is finally the uncut version, though. I've never had the uncut version of My Bloody Valentine 1981. So, yeah, not going to say too much. You guys know I love this film. It's one of the absolute best. 81 is just the year for slashers. Like, so many fantastic legendary ones came out that year. Speaking of this one right here, 1981, Absurd. I believe this is a follow-up to Anthropophagus from the same guy that did that. Yeah, the same guy that, Joe D'Amato. He made Anthropophagus in 1980. A year later, he put out this one. And it's more of the same, honestly. I feel like this is a bit better paced than Anthropophagus. The killer is a lot scarier, even though like he's visually less scary, just like the way his demeanor is, like I think he's a lot scarier. But very similar premise, like this guy that can't be killed, and he's coming after you kind of slowly, kind of giving the It Follows vibes, I guess. But yeah, just all the wacky Italian goodness that you've come to expect from this period is present here. So yeah, definitely check that out. Really, really brutal film. Okay, this one's not quite as graphic. This is more of like a whodunit slasher sort of deal. It's a Funeral Home from 1982, aka it's still there on the other side. But here, let me take it out. AKA Cries in the Night. I always thought this movie came out in 1980, but this packaging is telling me 82, so I'm more inclined to believe Scream Factory. We'll get this back in here and all settled. Wanted to show you guys that other artwork though whenever I can. Okay, yeah, so I've had this one for a while. I had a really beat up copy on DVD. I still have it. I watch it pretty regularly because it kind of reminds me of a VHS. It's very grainy. Soundtrack is very blown out and needs resurrection altogether. Well, we finally got it with Scream Factory. This cut is fantastic. They cleaned this thing up so much you can totally tell what's going on now. It's not quite as just meandering and wacky now that I can hear the whole dialogue and know what's truly going on. But yeah, still not one of the better slasher movies, I guess you would say. This is definitely more of like a mystery whodunit. There are some slasher vibes. Like we get it's closer to like Halloween than I would say like Halloween 2, obviously. Very different films taking place on the same premise. So yeah, it's definitely a little more reserved. I think there's, enough fun, campy stuff going on. If you're into that sort of stuff, I like campy stuff, so yeah, definitely a fun 80s flick, but not like one of the better slashers. Okay, this one doesn't have like a super big body count, and it's more of a character study. I would liken this to like Maniac or Don't Go in the House or anything that's just really, really like, maybe even like Necromantic. Like the main protagonist like narrates it, and it's just foul all the way through. There's no really like mystery to anything. You just see them hack and slash and murder people. And yeah, the protagonist of this film kills a few people as he is released from prison. I wouldn't say that it's a particularly graphic killings. It's just that the way this movie was made is very, very well made. Like, you can tell a lot of love went into this. And visually, it looks real. Some of these corpses look as real as you can get on camera. The makeup effects, the actor portrayals, the dedication to portraying a corpse is absolutely deadpan. So yeah, tread lightly. This is actually a very disturbing film, I believe. I thought it was. So yeah, tread lightly with that. Not really a through and through slasher, more of just a really disturbing character study. And it's a brief little go, and boom, it's done. It's pretty gnarly though. I wasn't really expecting it to be that gnarly, but it was good. It was good. Okay, we have one that was made in like 1979, 1980, and then the release sat up until 1984. We got The Prey, but it comes off as a 1980 slasher. Like, it's very akin to Friday the 13th in a lot of ways, but then I would also liken it to like The Forest or Just Before Dawn a little bit more, because it's not really a summer camp, it's more of just a camping movie. Fun fact, it was actually filmed in my area up here in the mountains this way. We live right next to Mount San Jacinto at the base of it, actually, so a lot of the rock formations and places and shots in this movie we've actually seen with our own eyes today. And for years, because me and my wife have lived here for a long time, so yeah, it's just very interesting to see this period on video, of the area that we know so well. A lot of it looks, pretty much the same. There's a few different things, but yeah, it's just kind of weird for the casual IE viewer. So yeah, I thought it was a decent slasher. It's definitely not great, but far from the worst in this bunch. That might belong to the next one here. I've been after this for a very long time. I know it's bad. It's really bad. It's so stupid. But the one-liners and just the cheese, I'm addicted to that sort of shit. So we had to go find ourselves the Nailgun Massacre from 1986, I believe. It's either 85 or 86. 85 is what the packaging says. But yeah, this is a slasher, but very unconventionally so. There's not really any slashing. All the kills are done really stupidly with this nail gun sort of practical effect. It just doesn't look very good a lot of the time. But yeah, it's fun. If you're a diehard slasher fan, this is on your radar. I would say tread lightly unless you're just really into like cheesy shit. And also, there's like an exploitation sort of side of this. Like, this is actually pretty sleazy at the very beginning. The setup for the movie is very sleazy and like sexual and depraved for sure. So yeah, tread lightly if you're not about that. Okay, next up, going into 1987, we got like a grip of films from 87 right here. And they're all goofy and getting better as we go. This is Night Screams, pretty run-of-the-mill slasher for the late 80s. I think it's better than a lot of other efforts. I think it's a lot funner, at least. Like, yeah, it's a cheesy, no-budget slasher, but some of the kills are pretty fun. And interestingly enough, there's both cuts on here without and with the edited-in scenes from Graduation Day. Apparently, they had to edit in some Graduation Day scenes in order for this movie to maintain the runtime, so that the distributor would just put it out and whatnot. So they added some shit from that movie in order to accommodate them. But the cut without that is also present here, and they both look great. It's so interesting to just see those pieces like put in this movie. It's so very random. But yeah, I prefer the cut without them, obviously. This is a 4K, and it's also a Blu-ray combo. But yeah, this is the Vinegar Syndrome 4K release of Night Screams, and I got it because it has the Blu-ray release, obviously. So yeah, really enjoyed this. For 1987, you can't really go wrong if you love slashers. Like, this is a pretty decent effort. This one, I want to love this one a lot more, but this one is just really, really campy, and it kind of drags on. There's not a lot to it. Like, even the killer is not really, really entertaining to me, but it takes place on Halloween. It's pretty cool still, and it's definitely got those late 80s VHS vibes. It's Hollowgate from 1987. I believe this is a Trauma release, so that kind of is to blame, I believe. It's definitely micro-budgety. It lingers, it meanders. There's not really a whole lot going on. There are a few cool kills, but that's pretty much it. It's not a super, super likable film unless you really just love the stupid Trauma shit. And I do, this one, it's not as cohesive as some of their films can be. Like, I feel like sometimes they get on a groove with certain films and like it works, but this one is just kind of like Tales from the Crapper. It just goes nowhere. Okay, next up from is this the right order? Yeah, no, this is the right order. Okay, this one was also, I believe, filmed in my area in like Big Bear partially, but also like partially in Spain. It's Spanish late 80s slasher, Edge of the Axe. This is the Arrow Blu-ray, and this is an okay film as well. I was really, really interested in this one for the longest time because I thought the killer looked so cool. But honestly, like it's pretty run-of-the-mill. It's just okay. I love slashers. I'll obviously rewatch this. I'm sure it'll grow on me. But as for the first few viewings, it's just really nothing special. Like, only for the completists for sure. This one gets a little bit better. Like, this is really fun premise-wise. It's these people coming back to a camp that they went to as kids to hang out. And there's like a pretty big cast in this. More people, like the body count could be bigger, but the kills in this are actually pretty cool. The killer himself is really, really freaky looking. Like, I think that the way that they set this movie up plot-wise is pretty decent. Like, it's definitely a great effort for 1987. Yeah, that's Twisted Nightmare. I don't know if you can read it. I got the light. Hopefully I got the light right. Anyways, definitely recommend this one. Like I said, it's just like a summer camp sort of slasher film. Not too many of those. Like, a lot of people act like that's like the main circuit for slashers, but there are sparse actual summer camp slasher movies. So yeah, add this to your list if that's like one of your favorite settings like mine. This is the Code Red Blu-ray. Okay, for 1988, we've got another Vinegar Syndrome release on Blu-ray. We have The House on Tombstone Hill. And that artwork would like lead you to believe that you're in for a pretty good slasher film. Like, this might actually be stylish and scary, but I'm gonna break your heart and refer to its other name and other artwork for the rest of this update, because it goes by the name, come on, straight, Dead Dudes in the House. This is a slasher spoof, it would seem. Like, I don't think it meant to be, but it basically is. Like, these characters are wacky. They are stupid goofy. And not really like a whole lot going on for the kills. Like, it's pretty tame. So yeah, I would file it away as more of a spoof sort of deal. I can't say that I really loved it or anything, but I think it'll probably grow on me. I do love spoofs. I definitely just have to rewatch it and give it another chance. But yeah, tread lightly. This is definitely not like an actual slasher movie. If you thought that other really sick cover art was an indicator that you were going to get like a really brutal slasher film, like, no, that's not really what this is. So. Okay, we're going to get to the last one here, guys. It's also another Vinegar Syndrome. We have Rush Week from 1989, and you may recognize it. I've just recently acquired like one of the oldest DVDs in my collection, and obviously this is the newest edition. I believe this is the newest edition. I don't think anybody else has put out a new one of this particular film. So yeah, I got the oldest, which is really cool. I love old DVDs that are super dated and like don't play on all players. As inconvenient as they are, I think they're really cool. It's kind of like Betamax, I guess. Anyways, this is like also a pretty run-of-the-mill slasher for the 80s, but when it comes to 89, there are almost no really good slasher like efforts. And I gotta say, this doesn't quite live up to the earlier mid-80s, but it's a lot better than other slasher efforts at this time. Like, most slasher efforts at this time were garbage, in my opinion. Like, I can't really name too many great ones from the late 80s. And it kind of gets to like the early 90s before we start to see some decent ones again, at least in great number. But this is a rare gem in the rough, in my opinion. Like I said, it's got its flaws. It's not particularly graphic in comparison to the earlier period and the middle period of the 80s. But I still think it's a pretty solid film. And yeah, I love to throw this on like with all the other collegiate slashers. Like, I'm a big fan of those as well. My buddy Dan the Sandman was talking about all the collegiate and campus slashers that he loves from the 80s and 90s. I'm also a big fan of those. So I wonder if he's seen this. If not, we'll probably watch it sometime soon. Anyways, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna wrap this up, guys. I know I didn't do the beer video like I said I was gonna do, guys, but I have all the pumpkin beer still, so cut me a break. I guess I'm gonna do it in December. Pumpkin's still good in December, right? We can eat pumpkin pie. Why not drink some pumpkin beer? Anyways, hope you guys have enjoyed the soundtrack. Burning Palace's links will be down below in the description like always. And yeah, I'm gonna get that beer video up and then hopefully get through these VHSs so I can give you a really sick tape update too, guys. So other than that, I hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I hope everyone has a lovely December. And if I don't somehow see you guys before Christmas, which I'm not trying to do, but if I don't somehow see you guys before Christmas, then have a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. You know, whatever culture you guys are involved with or celebrating, that's wonderful. Everyone just be with your family and your loved ones. Be good to each other. And be safe. Go watch some horror films. It's never too late in the year to go watch some horror films. So have a good one, guys.